Hello everyone, it's time once again for another obscure and fun little DOS game. Today we're playing a game called Velcro Mind. This is not at all a well-known DOS game, but it's a game that I find rather enjoyable. It's got an interesting kind of original premise that I don't think I've seen in any other game really. And yeah, let's just go ahead and get right into the game. So yeah, this is Velcro Mind from Jazz Software. A rather small little software house, which looks like it's just two people. Looks like it's probably just two friends who decided that they would get together and collaborate on games. And so, yeah, there you go, Velcro Mind. So there we go, Velcro Mind. I like this. I like the jittery effect on this main menu screen. You can see there's my high score at the top, which is not very good, even though I do enjoy the game. I'm not very good at it. Let's go ahead and press I for instructions, even though the premise of the game is pretty straightforward. So you are that little disc with four colored quadrants on it. You move it around using the mouse. You rotate left and right using the two mouse buttons, or as it says here, you can rotate anti-clockwise or clockwise. So left mouse button rotates to the left, right mouse button rotates to the right. Pretty intuitive, right? You pick up the small colored balls by touching them with the part of your cursor, if you will, that's the same color as the ball, and you will lose some energy. You'll lose a point of energy if you accidentally, or perhaps not accidentally, touch a ball with a part of the circle that's the wrong color. After you've caught the ball, you need to return it to a hand. There are four hands on the screen. Each of them has a dot on the palm, which corresponds to the color of the ball that it will basically grab from you. I don't know why the balls are color, or like are scored based on their color. Like I don't know why blue balls are more valuable than other colors of balls. I think in real life it's the opposite, but that's okay. And then on the top left is your energy bar. So if you touch a ball with the wrong color, then you will lose 1 point of energy. And those little spinning galaxies are basically power-ups. They will replenish 1 point of energy to you. Okay, it might seem a little bit complicated, but once we start playing the game, the gameplay is really intuitive. The present premise is very simple. So let's go ahead and start playing. And there we go, this is me. Oh, I picked up a galaxy and got some... Okay, so here we go. So I need to pick up this red ball, so I can spin around using the mouse buttons, and I need to touch those red balls with the red part of my circle. Like that. And like that. There we go. And now I can return these red balls to the red hand at the top of the screen. There we go, and I got 16 points for it. Whoops, see, I touched that ball with the yellow part of my cursor, and so I lost a point of energy for that. And let's see if I can get this guy. Yep, and this guy. And so basically, playing this game correctly and actually being able to grab the balls correctly is a coordination of obviously moving around with the mouse so that you are in the right place, and sometimes simultaneously spinning around so that you're touching the balls with the right part of your disc. And I totally just missed that galaxy because I'm an idiot. So, come on. Oh, man. I think actually, now that I think about it, I never really thought too hard about why the balls are scored differently, but when I pay attention to their movement, it does look as though the blue balls move more erratically, like they move in a more sort of jittery pattern, which obviously makes them a little harder to catch properly, so I'm assuming that's probably why they are worth more points. This game does get very frantic very quickly. It started off seeming very simple and straightforward, but once you start getting a screen like this that's full of balls flying around, it's very tough to really... Wait, I don't think you can really focus on all of them at once. You sort of have to just focus on what's immediately next to you. I don't know if it'll come through in the video. It probably won't. It probably won't be apparent unless you're actually playing the game, but the disc that you control also becomes more ponderous the more balls you pick up. So, like right now when I don't have anything stuck to me, when I don't have anything hanging off me, I can move around pretty freely, but if you get really caught up in catching the balls and don't return them to the hands, then eventually your disc is going to start getting weighted down, and it will have more inertia, and it will be harder to move it around. It won't change direction as quickly. I think it doesn't affect the spinning, it doesn't affect the rotation of the disc, but actually moving around. Like, see, right now I'm already a little bit burdened down to the point where my disc doesn't react to my mouse movements as quickly as it... Yeah, see, I should have been able to catch those two galaxies, but I missed them because I am moving just a little bit too slowly. Now I should be able to... Oh, now I should be able to... Yep, I died. That's actually not a very good score. I think I'm playing a little bit worse than I normally would because I'm kind of partly focusing on what I'm saying and explaining the game at the same time as I'm playing. I'm usually pretty bad at this game, but not quite that bad. Yeah, I mean, the problem with this game, the difficult part about this game is obviously just well, two things. First, it's the coordination of being able to touch the balls with exactly the right color of your disc. And secondly, just with being able to focus enough, keep your attention focused enough that you don't get distracted with everything that's flying around all at once and kind of focus on exactly what your disc is about to touch at any point in time. Oops. Actually, that wasn't too bad. So yeah, it becomes... I guess it's the same with pretty much almost any sort of action-y type of game. Your primary problem, your primary challenge is in maintaining focus and coordination when there's a lot of stuff happening on the screen all at once. And that is something I'm not good at doing, actually. I'm not really very good at... I play a lot of games, but to be honest, I'm really not that great at multitasking. I'm not really that good at focusing on several things all at once. There is a stereotype, which I don't know how true it is, but there is a stereotype, and some people say it's biological, that females are better at that sort of multitasking than males, that women, and I guess girls as well, can focus on several things more effectively than men and boys can. That does obviously sound like the kind of thing that would be easy to make an unfounded stereotype out of, so I don't know if there's really much truth to that, but it is something I've heard several times, so... But then again, there are obviously... I mean, video games are still stereotypically sort of a boy's thing to do, and it seems like a lot of guys don't have trouble with focusing on lots of things at once when there's lots of stuff flying around the screen. So it's probably just me. It's probably just that I'm terrible at games. Which again is kind of funny because those who've been watching my channel for a long time have probably noticed that I do play a lot of games. But I tend to play adventure games which don't really require you to focus on a screen full of flying doohickeys like this, or other types of games which have a certain premise that you're required to analyze and understand, rather than games that just require you to react quickly or have good focus when there's a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, it's kind of funny because this is, in a way, this is the most simple type of game. I mean, this game is very simple in its premise, and yet this is, in some ways, the most difficult type of game to play, at least for me. I think for a lot of people as well, this kind of game is very difficult to play just because, even though the idea behind it is very simple, it's hard. It's hard to keep that many balls in the air. In this case, not quite literally, because you don't have to keep all these balls in the air. You have to actually grab them out of the air. So in this case, it's kind of difficult to keep all these balls on the right color. And I am pretty much screwed right now because there's way too much going on here. There's way too much flying around for me to really spin around at the right time. Gosh. If you just look at this, if you just take a step back and look at it for a moment, it looks really ridiculous. This looks almost impossible. But you know, you get into that sort of a video game trance where you're hyper-focusing on the one thing that you're doing, and so I actually don't feel quite as overwhelmed as it probably looks at the moment, because I'm really hyper-focusing on just what's around me and my disc. 380, that's a little bit better, but that's still well short of my high score of, what is that, 608? I actually can't see it because it's in dark gray on a black background. That's not a very good color choice for readability there, gentlemen, but okay, one more time. I'll play one more time, but I think you folks pretty much have the idea. This is Velcro Mind, and like I said, it's pretty original, isn't it? I mean, I really haven't seen a game that I think I just picked up a Galaxy without even seeing it, and there we go. I saw it that time. I really have not seen a game that does anything like this that I can think of. I mean, at first it might look a little bit reminiscent of memorization games like Simon, but obviously it has nothing to do with games like that. So yeah, I don't know. It may have been inspired by games like Simon, because this disc that you're moving around does look kind of like the color wheel or whatever that I think was used in those types of pattern memorization games. But yeah, it's just it's a very cool game. I like the sound effects. I like the graphics, such as they are, even though they're very simple. The game has no music, but I mean, it's just fun to play. It's just a cute little quirky game for DOS that is fun. I remember when I first discovered this game years ago, I was just very pleased by the premise. I was very pleased to see a game that was just so original and had such a good creative idea. And to me, this is kind of like it seems like a perfect sort of casual game. It's like the perfect kind of, we used to call them coffee break games. Now they're more typically called casual games, but this is just the perfect sort of game for playing when you have 10 minutes to spare or whatever, and you just want something to distract you. You're waiting at a bus stop or whatever, and you just want something to fiddle with for 5 or 10 minutes at a time. And there really weren't that many. Actually, I don't know if that's true. I was going to say there weren't that many games like that for DOS, but I guess that's not true. There probably were. It's just that they weren't very well known, because the thing is, back then, about 20 years ago, the model of computer game distribution was that you would actually buy a game physically in a store, and games typically tended to cost $50, $60, something like that. And you certainly wouldn't pay $50 or $60 for a game like this. This is the kind of game that would have to be digitally distributed. And the internet, I guess the internet existed technically back then, but it wasn't very popular. And people had things like BBSs, bulletin board systems, where they would exchange games like this. But at that time, they still weren't really very well known. I mean, most people had computers at that time. Like most, at least middle-class families, had home computers, but they were playing games that they would buy in stores, and they weren't really playing a lot of casual games like this, whereas today, so many people play with their smartphones and things like that, sorry, I lost my conversational train of focus for a moment. I zoned out for just a moment. I suddenly got so involved in the game that I wasn't actually consciously thinking about the game. I started playing the game subconsciously while talking, and then I made the mistake of consciously focusing on the game, and then suddenly I was like, whoa, what am I doing? And I lost everything. I lost my streak in the game, which I think I was kind of on, because I think I was doing pretty well in the game because I wasn't thinking about it. I was playing on reflex rather than actually trying to think about what I was doing, and then I died, and I forgot what I was talking about. Okay, I was basically saying, so today people play a lot with smartphones and things like that. They play with portable devices, and so it's very common to have these sort of casual games that you'll buy online on app stores and things like that. Anyway, that's it. That is Velcro Mind. Thank you for watching, everyone. And if you exit the game, it claims that there is a game called Space Rumble coming soon from Jazz Software. I actually, I'd like to know if this ever was released. I actually should look that up, because I have no idea what. Obviously Jazz Software didn't become world famous, but I'm curious whether they ever made Space Rumble or any other games, but anyway. Yeah, that's it. Velcro Mind is freeware, and this screen doesn't have a copyright date on it. I don't know if there was one on one of the other screens, but you can see this was a game from New Zealand. So it was basically one guy, Joe White, who obviously is or was Jazz Software, making games in his spare time out of his house in Dunedin, New Zealand. So cheers to you, Joe White. Thank you for making this cool little game. I don't know what happened to Mr. White or his software development after that, but I'm very glad to have this game and to have played it. I think it's a lot of fun, and like I said, I like the premise. So I hope that you folks have enjoyed watching as well. Thank you for coming along with me on this journey into the Velcro Mind, and I will speak to you folks later. Bye bye for now.